Today I have a very special bike in front of us. For those of you who don't know what this is a Honda QA50. And this specific bike is a 1971, and I'm excited to tell you about it. This 50 was restored a couple of years ago, and the guy who did a pretty good job. These QA50s are getting harder to find parts for, so in terms of originality, it's there. Down to the Honda Kenda markings on the tires. These tires are a different size as well, and I'll show you a close-up in a few minutes, but the brake the brake drum, the way it sits in the rim is perfect. It's very compact. These QA50s were only in production for 2 years, but they led to a lot of what we see today with the mini trails, or what we saw later on with the mini trails, Z50s, and some other custom bikes and things that people are really getting into and enjoying today. Now the QA50, it was kind of the beginning of the monkey bar style Honda. It really kicked off a lot of things for portability and just that totally different big rider on a small bike type of deal. And it was a great wave. So I think a lot of enthusiasts owe a lot to the QA50, understandably. There's a lot of things that we see on this that transfer over to some of the newer bikes, but the QA50 has a style like no other Honda on the market that's ever been produced. They're constantly turning heads. This one came out in a factory color called Gypsy Yellow. So this is close spec, it's not exact, but you kind of get the idea. It looks great, and if you come a little closer, I'll show you some of the things that make the QA50 the QA50. So starting at the front of the bike, these are those brake drums that I was telling you about. Of course, just mechanical brake drums, as simple as it gets. Now the tires are 4x5, so they're extra chunky, even a little bit fatter and stubbier than we see on some of the later mini trails, Z50s, etc. Now these tires are great. They're tough and they're good for multiple terrains. So the head of this 50cc motor, it's different than a lot of the 50s that originally grew into later. It's definitely an interesting look, but one of the most iconic things is these have a metal air filter. So coming here, you can see the air filter is actually metal, like the air intake for the carburetor, and it's very difficult to find an original one. Now if you follow the exhaust actually, the output on it was incredibly safe. It was something that people weren't burning their legs on, which is always good, but it's also hard to find. This one has a little bit of damage, and on the other side you can see there's on the bottom, so once in a while it takes some of the brunt from any hits from down below. And also, it's fantastic how they ran the brake cables on these bikes. So it starts at the top for the rear, and it goes all the way through for the rear and travels right through the rear fender. So these grommets are, again, getting tricky to find. These rear fenders are fantastic, and this is the QA50 style that a lot of people really, really love. You have that pointed seat, and a lot of bigger guys like the QA50s as pit bikes and enjoy them just for ripping around, just because of the hard rear end. There's front suspension in the front, which helps you when you're going forward and commuting and bumping around and going over a little bit of terrain, but this keeps it so it's fit for any weight. Now, the seat looks great. It's got that 2-point where it just looks so iconic, and it's such a beautifully well-designed bike. So we love the back fender. Fender looks great, but also you have this handle. So if you're looking to move it, I mentioned portability earlier. You just grab the bike like this, one on the front, one on the back, and you can pick it up just like that. And because of that, these things are great to move around. They're fantastic bikes. And the last thing that you always want to look for, and it's easy to replace on these QA50s, is a rear sticker on the rear fender. Because again, we're not seeing those as often. There's a lot of knockoff stickers. I have my questions about the originality of this one. We get that little flower powder flower, and that was it. That was the 70s, and that's when these things were flourishing, really. They were bumping then, and they're bumping now. These QA50s are becoming more popular than ever. In Ontario in 2021 to 2022, we're moving into that right now, you can expect $3,000 to $4,500 for one of these in good condition. I expect this one will sell for around the $3,000 mark, and that's really fair value for it. So it's a great bike, and I'm glad we had the opportunity to show you guys. Stuff like this doesn't come around all the time, and less now. So like our video if you get the chance, and subscribe. I'd love to have you around for more Honda content.